Hello, everybody. It's Sandra Pelly, the Sandini, Inner Peace Mentor and Visionary of the Guide Academy. Very excited to be here with you today. It is a beautiful day. That's what I literally start every single morning with, so that my day does unfold magically. And even in times when there's strife and a little angst, because I've started out my day like that, my whole day unfolds a little bit more magically. I would first of all like to say that this is being sponsored by Sandra Pelly's A Spiritual How To, available on most Amazons. Pick up your copy today. And I have a beautiful, beautiful guest today. I'm so very excited to get to know her a little bit more intimately. I've been in a working experience with her for about 6, 8 weeks now, and it's been a really quite a beautiful experience to recognize and realize just how we flow together and how what we both bring to the table is very much in alignment with each other. She has this beautiful experience about a 5-step system to change any moment into a moment to shine. And I think that's what's really, really important, is empowering each of ourselves. So Marianne Marriott is passionate about helping others awaken to the brilliance of who they are and all that they have to offer themselves and the world. She has been a diligent student of the universe for over a decade and has shared her knowledge, expertise, and passion with others through interviews, public speaking, writing, and healing sessions. She's an expert on manifesting reality and has seen evidence of this in her own life in substantial ways. Her mission is to help others see the light inside of them and give it permission to shine more brightly. She creates a safe place to play with that idea and expand upon it, giving simple, everyday steps that, when done, make a big impact. As your spiritual hostess, she connects you with that deep part inside of you that has been begging to be seen, heard, acknowledged, and is ready to emerge. And you can see why I think she's so in alignment with my message. So I'll bring her on, and here she is, Miss Marianne. Hi.
Hello, Sandra. I'm so excited to be here.
I am too. I'm really, really stoked. So, give us a little bit of background, first of all. I know that we have all had our own journeys. Sometimes it's dark night of the souls that get us going on our paths and that. So, tell us a little bit about yourself first, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting that you say, that the dark night of the soul is kind of that catalyst that moves us in. And I kind of say I'm your ordinary everyday psychic, and I say that because I always felt like I never had any big moment in my life that was the catalyst to get me where I am. It's just been a lot of small moments over time that started to weave themselves together and show me really who I was and what I was meant to bring to this world. Having said that, about 10, 15 years ago, I had a major heartbreak, and and I mean, it didn't do me in by any means, but it was definitely the moment that kind of cracked me open, is how I want to say that. It just shifted a lot of my beliefs, and there was a huge amount of grieving, and through that time, and there's no, it's all synchronistic, right? There's no accidents. And through that time, I was introduced to just this magical world of manifestation and energy, and it just came in and I embraced it fully. And because my heart was cracked open, there was so much space for it, and I just went on this incredible journey that has led me to many wonderful places, one of them being right here with you on this screen right now.
Exactly. I know I didn't even know what Dark Night of a Soul was until like just only what, maybe in the last 4 or 5 years. And in reality, mine was like 17 years long. So you just don't know what's unfolding when our life is unfolding. So how did you unfold what you're going to be showing us or talking to us about today, this beautiful shine?
Yeah. And so what I realized at some point when I look back over all the things I had been doing in my life, there was this common thread. And the common thread was that I was always doing some element of counseling or coaching or teaching or training. Like that just kind of ran through everything that I had done. And how do I say this? So I thought that I was good at it. But what I realized is it wasn't me and it wasn't my advice. I mean, people were just gravitating towards me. But at some point along the line, I realized that I was channeling messages and that I was bringing forth messages from, a person's deeper part of themselves or their higher self or, their guides, their angels. And when I realized that, that's I say I became a student of Universal University, just meaning that everything you need to learn is just right at your fingertips. I mean, all you have to do is open the door and say, come on in, and this stuff just shows up for you. And I just immersed myself in that. And so this Shine program that I'm going to talk about really are just those simple little everyday things that we can do to really illuminate our brilliance and really allow that internal light to shine. And when we do that, it really shifts our reality, I think is probably the best way I can describe it.
I love that. I know that each of those letters has some really important meaning. So would you like to actually go through each of the letters, what SHINE stands for?
Absolutely. Yeah. So SHINE is an acronym, of course, and the S is for shifting your thinking. And it's also about stopping your thinking. So I'll talk about that when I go into depth. H is about honoring your journey. It's really about honoring yourself and honoring others. I is illuminate your brilliance, and this is where you kind of that pivotal point where you start to really recognize that light. Notice is where you step back and you just look at things from a different perspective and you bring some new elements in when that happens. And emerge, which is really where you want to be at the end, is you emerge with a greater understanding and a newness of yourself. And then you just you rinse and repeat. That's the phrase I was looking for. I love that you popped up each word as I did that. That was awesome.
Well,
there it is.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was really important because this your method feels so beautiful to me. From talking with me as well as being in my own group as well, that I am so about empowering people. And so when I saw your message and what each of these things meant, it really clicked for me. So did you want to explain now a little
Yes.
bit more deeply?
Oh, I do. I really do. So just before I do that, I had this little memory pop into my head because this is what happens when I talk, right? So I'm assuming they want me to share this because I think this is where Shine was born. And I was at an event many years ago, Business Awards event, Chamber of Commerce, I think is what it was. No, it was celebrating women in business. Oh my gosh, this was so long ago, and it was all about empowerment. And I just remember the song, "This Little Light of Mine." And so we actually got up our table. We stood up and we started singing. I'm not a singer by any means, and I'll butcher this. I'm sorry, but I'm going to do it. And I want you guys to all sing in the background. So, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. So I sang that. It was so powerful, and it just stuck with me. And I think that was the little seed that was planted. And so when I started looking at what I'd been doing for myself and how I'd been shifting moments and how I'd been coming out of it and really growing, spiritually and just wholly as a person, that's where it came from. So shift your thinking is where you really just stop. You really just stop and look at, okay, what's going on in this moment, and how can I shift this? How can I change this? And one of the things that I talk about with the shift aspect is recognizing those moments where we talk down to ourselves or we get into that negative thinking, like those habitual ways that we kind of default. And for me, it was in the shower in the morning. So think about this, not me in the shower in the morning, but think about this moment. So it's the morning and it's the first ritual I do. And what am I doing? I'm in worry. I'm in fear. I'm reliving the things that have happened the day before. Like I literally was having conversations with myself about things that happened, because we do that. What if I said this? And what if I said that? And just dwelling on that. And I realized, oh my goodness, this is how I'm starting my day in this moment, right? And so when you see it, you can't unsee it. And so I started to shift it. And really, like when I talk about these, I think they're so simple, but together they're so powerful. So I simply noticed it and I shifted the thinking. And so when I caught myself dwelling over something that had happened, I just started talking about it in another way. Oh, isn't it interesting that that happened? I wonder what that had to teach me. Or if I was, oh gosh, this day and I have so much going on, I would just simply go, I wonder what magic is going to show up in this day for me. And I'm going to have a great day, and throw in those affirmations. I'm feeling great. Right. So that's what the S stands for, shifting, but it's also about stopping the way that we typically gravitate towards thinking and then shifting it in a new way. And I'll just add before I leave that one that, sometimes because we hear a lot about affirmations. Well, if you're in the, you're having that moment in the morning and you're feeling really crappy because of something that happened and you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm a terrible person, or I did this wrong. You're probably not going to jump to, Marianne, you're amazing, you're fabulous, right? Like, it's too big of a leap. So again, it's just that slight transition to what if that was a moment to teach me something, right? Like, just those little transition points that get you thinking about it differently.
Yeah.
That's shift. Do you want me to just keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no point in me interrupting you, because I'm in your corner.
Right.
I literally do this every day as well, every morning. Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. So that's the shift aspect. And then honor your journey. This is where you meet yourself where you are. And I do find that we are so hard on ourselves. And, in my day job, I'm a bankruptcy trustee. So I work with people who are having financial difficulties. And, I definitely see that, because if you're struggling financially, my goodness gracious, you're hard on yourself, right? You beat yourself up. Why did I do that? Why did I buy these things? Why did I finance it? And you just go into this big spiral. And we do that in all areas of our life. And one of my favorite sayings is, tell me in the book of life where it says you had to get it right the first time. We don't get our finances right. We don't get our relationships right. We don't get our health right. We don't get, any part, our career right. We don't get any of it right the first time. We're not supposed to. This is a learning and growth experience. Yeah. So when you start to honor your own journey and really look at, I'm living the life I'm supposed to be living right now, doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, everything really just falls into perspective. And, and again, it's funny as I'm talking to you about this, because I'm seeing the duality of each of these as I'm doing it, which is really interesting. Because it's also about honoring the other person's journey as well, right? So I'm going to stretch it out to that, and that's kind of a whole nother piece that sometimes takes a little bit more effort, just because we put a lot of meaning into things that happen to us and things that happen around us. And so,
before you go to the next one, I want to honor what you just said, because I went through something over the weekend that was a real shock to me on one hand, and on the other hand, it was like, oh wow, I'm amazed where I'm at, and how I was actually honoring the other person that was involved in this was really so beautiful. So I love that. And this may be why you're feeling the duality of that, is because I literally have just experienced this myself in my life. So thank you.
I love that. No, thank you. So, so meet yourself where you are. This is your journey. It's no one else's. And you don't need to move 10 steps ahead. And this is, again, I don't know about anybody else, but I hold myself to very high standards, and I think I need to do, 10 steps instead of one. And so just really allowing yourself to kind of just do that one step at a time, and part of that is self-love. I mean, again, another huge concept, right? So you can see where this would just branch out in so many different places. And that's where I said, kind of with the little steps. So if you detest yourself, you're probably not going to love yourself right away, but maybe you can tolerate yourself, and maybe you can admire yourself, or maybe you can nurture yourself in some way to move to self-love. So just those teeny tiny steps that move you along that trajectory. And then when you start to see one thing that you appreciate or love about yourself, then you go to that next one, then you go to that next one. So that's the honor. Illuminate, thank you, popping that up. And so illuminate your brilliance. So these are the moments that light you up. I mean, this is where you really connect to that internal light inside of you, and you really allow it to shine. You really allow it to glow. And I'll just bring this back a little bit. Well, a couple things I want to say about this. So let's go back to, we're shifting a moment, go back to shine, right? So you're seeing it, you're identifying it, and you're shifting it. And now you're honoring yourself. And so when you get into illuminate and you want to light yourself up, this is where, and again, there's different levels, but I want you to kind of come home to something that really lights your heart. So for example, I'm just going to use that example of, me in the shower and I'm kind of talking to myself, and then I, go into honoring. And so I might start to think about a moment that I'm really grateful for, that really was a moment of mine to shine, for example. And I'm kind of all over the place with this one, aren't I? Wow, that's interesting. So I'm being kind of given a little story again, so I'll weave this one in. So I am an entrepreneur in an employee's body. I say that all the time. And so what I mean by that is there's this entrepreneurial flame inside of me that can't be denied. Right. So when I'm kind of looking at my life and things that are happening, and I recognize that that's one of my internal flames, then you want to look at what is it that ignites that and what is it that lights it up. And in that example, it's the creativity. It's the creative aspect, and so it's doing things and recognizing things that really bring out that creativity in me. And so creating, programs and public speaking and things like that. And so recognizing those are the things that really, really light me up. Now, when you're stuck in a moment and you're trying to move through it, this might be something as simple as thinking about your beautiful little kitty cat or your beautiful little puppy dog and just loving them in your mind's eye. Think about holding them, thinking about petting them, thinking about loving them, because you can't help but smile when you do that. Your light can't help but light up when you do that. So it's really paying attention to those little nudges and things inside of you that want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be expressed. And what that is going to vary depending on the situation. But at the very basic level, think about the things that just make you smile when you think about them. Those are the moments that you want to grab onto, especially when you're moving through something difficult. And that was illuminate. So notice, so we'll move to notice. So notice from a new perspective. And I think I wish I could give kudos to someone for this, because I'm sure I've seen it somewhere in some presentation. But you take a blank piece of paper and then you take your pen and you put a little dot in the middle. And the little dot in the middle is what we know. Right? So we don't know what we don't know. So our view of the world is the little dot in the middle and the piece of paper. And then you've got this big, broad, piece of paper and all this space around it. And that's what we don't know. And this is where lifelong learning comes in. So noticing is really about stepping back and being curious. And so I use something called the what if process, what if up process. And I know I've seen the what if statement on your post, so I know you know what I'm talking about. So here's the thing. Here's our default. When we think of what if, we tend to think of the negative things that can happen. So for example, something happened at work, let's just say, and you're mulling over it in the shower in the morning. Don't do that. And so where do our minds go? What if I upset somebody? What if I lose my job? What if I don't get along with that person? What if they judge me, right? We go to what if down. That's what I call what if down. What if up is where you take that to the next level. And so what if up is really opening and expanding the possibility. What if I cause that person to really look at themselves differently? What if I made an impact and that brings about positive change in their life? What if by standing up for myself, I opened up possibilities that I didn't even know exist? I can feel the energy coming up through my legs as I'm doing this, because I'm opening to possibility and I'm opening to that beautiful energy. So that's where the notice comes in, where you start to go to that different place, that different perspective, and you notice it and you start to infuse some elements of possibility in there. All right, we ready for merge? Okay. So emerge is where you come out with a renewed sense of who you are. This is where I call it leveling up, because this is what we're doing, right? And I did a meditation a while ago in my group, and it was You 2.0. And it was really about, looking at, actually, it was even more than that, because it was looking at you in terms of a scale from 1 to 10. And it was helping someone look at, where are you? Like, what version of you are you today? So for some people, they might be 2.0 or 4.0 or 5.0, and just kind of looking at where they were in that spectrum. So the thing is that we're constantly growing, and we're constantly developing, and we're constantly becoming better versions of ourselves. And the only reason I hesitated when they said that, because I get to hear it clearly, we'll never be better versions of ourselves, because we're perfect exactly like we are. But I think you know what I'm talking about when I say that. So, so you want to take that flame that you've now seen, and you've started to ignite it, and you've started to allow it to glow more brightly, and you want to breathe new life into it, and really allowing yourself to celebrate every step that you've taken and everything that you've done. And then ultimately, because we're coming back to emerge, then you're going to rotate again, and you do it all again. You do it in every moment. Like I talked about this, like it's a really big process. But if I kind of come back and I look at this with each one, it's like so in the moment. So I'll use a real life example. There's so many. I'm trying to decide which one do I want to use. Okay, well, so do I have time to tell a little story?
Yes.
Okay, I feel like I'm talking so much. I could do this. I could talk all day. So, so I was, so the universe fired me from my job. I'm going to say that. So I was strategically let go of my job several years ago, and out of the blue, no clue what was happening. Was taken into a room. My boss was there. He said, "We have to let you go." Completely floored. I have to tell you a couple things that happened in that meeting, because I think, to me, this moment was such a catalyst of all the work I had been doing. And had I sat in that room, Marianne 1.0, I'm not sure what that would have done to me. But I was sitting in there easily, 3 or 4.0, I'm pretty sure. Because while he was telling me he was letting me go, two things happened. I kind of looked up internally, to the skies and the heavens, and said, "I don't know how you made this happen, but thank you," because I wasn't happy in my job and I never would have left. And I blurted out in the meeting, "Oh, this is what the psychic meant." To which my boss said, "A psychic told you were going to lose your job?" I had had a reading 3 months earlier, and they said something was going to happen at work, and it was going to seem like it was bad, but it wasn't. So I was very fortunate that in the meeting, I started to shift, coming back to shine, right? I started to shift my thinking. It was still a blow to my ego. It was very hard to take. I went through a lot of emotional stuff, but I started shifting it right away. Even when I left that room, I had to really hang on to that shift your thinking, because I had to really catch myself with that negative talk that was coming and feeling like I wasn't good enough. And so I shifted it. And then I honored where I was. Okay, there's something else for me. There's something new. I don't know what it is yet, but this is a course correction. It's changed things. This is where I'm supposed to be. It's not, because of fault of my own. And then the Illuminate Your Brilliance is where I went in and went, oh my gosh, like, what can I do now? Like, I was constrained. I can do so much more. Like, what makes me happy? And I started thinking about things I could do that I couldn't do before. And because of that, I kind of did that stepping back, and I noticed it from a new place. And when I noticed it from a new place, all these opportunities and things started to open up. And I came out of it a different person than before I had that experience. And I've had so many experiences since then with different things that I've seen this process move me through with grace and ease. And more importantly than anything, with a reflection of what I had gone through and a learning from that.
I love this. It's so relatable. In 2019, my husband was let go of his job, like that too, just totally unexpected, etc. So I definitely can relate to this, and the growth that changes, the evolvement from that. You can definitely see why Marianne is on here speaking with me. The messages are very similar, but we come in from different perspectives. And that's what's beautiful about the way the world is shifting with regards to metaphysical, holistic, spiritual aspects of things, that we love to share these experiences. We love to share our abilities, but we also love to share others. Like having Marianne on here right now, it just feels really, really good to me. I wore my creative shirt today.
Love it.
She wore my favorite teals.
You did.
Um, let me just tap into the energy here and see what else wants to come through, because it feels like there's something else going on here too, that there's I'm getting the impression that, okay, that makes entire sense. There is stuff happening with you right now. You are evolving or growing, etc. So what does this shine mean? Is it like, I know that you said it's this continual process, and I'm not even sure where I'm going with that. Do you feel the energy of carrying on the conversation there? Because I'm not sure
Yeah.
what's happening there. There's something going on there.
Oh, and then I just got all.
Yeah, throat chakra. I can feel it in my throat too.
Isn't that funny? Well, so here's the thing, and what I'm hearing as soon as I do that, and it's my throat. And it's funny because you said you're all in these colors, which you're in these beautiful, like root chakra, solar plexus, sacral, right? And I was going to say, I'm in blue. I'm in this throat chakra color. And then you started talking, my throat closed up. Because I don't think we speak our truth. I don't think we speak the truth of who we are. And, and not so much externally. Well, we don't do it externally, but the challenge is we don't do it internally. And so I remember in one of my courses, I was saying, how much of the time do you think you talk to yourself negatively instead of positively? Excuse me.
Let's all have a drink of water and clear this.
I love the universe. Yeah, how relevant. And so how much of the time do you talk to yourself negatively in the run of a day? And people post it, what they thought, and it was crazy, like 80%, 90%. And we just talk so much in our heads, we talk ourselves down so much. And so shine for me was certainly, I never stood in my light. I mean, when I was young, I was the kid and I remember this vividly to this day, and it comes up in a lot of meditations. But I was the kid on the school ground, when they pick teams. It was horrible for kids. Like you would play a game, right? We were playing Red Rover, Come Over, if you remember Red Rover, and they would pick teams, and I was always one of the last. And so you're standing there, and they're picking these people, and what is the message? You're not good enough, right? You're not good enough for the team. And I remember that. And I remember so many moments. And so what happens is we dim our light. So we dim our light by not talking about ourselves and how wonderful we are, and we dim it by also talking about that self-sabotaging talk. And so we dim it and we dim it and we dim it and we push it down and we don't let it shine. And even growing up, when you're told be seen but not heard, right? Or you're wrong, or you can't do that, and we just get bombarded with these messages. So to me, what I could feel as my passion and purpose is, oh, I love the comments on there. Margaret, she relates. Yeah. My passion and purpose was to help others so that they didn't have to go through this big, long journey in figuring that out. And you know what? Sometimes we don't even figure it out. I mean, we just keep going through life knowing there is more to us, knowing there is more to life, knowing that we don't know what it is. We just know that there's something bigger, there's something better, there's something more brilliant, and we're not doing it. We're not stepping into it. And it's that little voice inside, and we just want to allow it to be seen and heard, but we don't know how to do it.
I think it's so beautiful that you mentioned the schoolyard and choosing teams, because when I look back, I can feel myself standing there and hoping I wouldn't be the last one chosen. And I think it really relates to who I am now, because I jump in. You probably know this, that I'm the one that jumps in now and makes sure that I'm number one. And it took a lot of processes, meaning it took a lot of my working my way through the doubt and the personal judgment on self,
Yeah.
to get to the point of, you know what, I have a question that's important, and other people will relate to this question. So just jump in and ask it, because it might not get asked if you don't, right? And I started to jump in and be first, and it's like, you said earlier, I just feel like I'm talking all the time here. Well, yes, that's what happens, is we do tend to talk, but there's things that you haven't said anything that isn't immaterial. Like, it's all been very powerful, pertinent information, and it's because we are now jumping into our lives in a different way. And that's what we want to empower other people with, is that shining.
I love that.
Such a
Yeah, and I'm getting truth bumps like crazy as you're talking, because it is that ordinary everyday person that, when we do step forward and we step out of our shell and we say those things, we give permission for others and everyone to do the same. I mean, it's easy to listen to, a guru, I'll just use that word, guru, talk about it, and they're kind of in the limelight, but you don't feel you could ever live up to that. And that's why, I'm so passionate about this, is because everyone has a message to share, and everyone has a light to shine, and everyone has the right, not even the right word, the privilege, not the right word, the responsibility to step
destiny.
into their light. Yeah, and bring that to not just the world, just bring it to your world. Never mind the whole world. Just bring it to your world, and and allow things to transform in your life. And I find that when people give their light permission to shine, 'cause that's why I say I create a safe space for people to give their light permission to shine. And I know you do exactly the same thing, you just word it differently. But when you give that space for people and they start to play with it and experience it, and then they start to see how their outer world shows up for them with it, it's like magic. It really is. And I've got this one gal that I'm working with right now, and she, so she's, I'm in my mid 50s, so we're around the same age. And she's been struggling for a long time because she lost her light through various things. And I said, she goes, is it going to get better? And I'm like, yes, it's going to get better. And not only that, it's taken you 40 some years to get here. It's not going to take you 40 some years to get there. Like, you're going to notice this when it starts happening really quickly. And that was about 3 weeks ago. And she's already noticing what's happening and how it's shifting for her. And it really does happen very quickly. The thing is to be very consistent,
Yes.
And find what works for you. There's no one size fits all. I talk about a way of doing things. You talk about a way of doing things. There's all kinds of light workers out there talking about a way of doing things. That is universal university. I mean, just open up, allow it in, listen to lots of things, take what fits, leave what doesn't, find your own path, find your own style. But when you find it, embrace it and just make it a part of your everyday living, and you will not regret it in any way, shape, or form.
I really love this conversation, and the awareness of the different perspectives, the awareness of the different ways to bring this in. I use 2 mantras. You have 5 steps. I've heard of another person who has a 4-pillar system as well. Like, it goes on and on and on. There are so many out here, the ether, who want to help the individual. It's find the one that resonates with you.
Absolutely.
And start making the steps. Start making the steps to hear what they're saying, and recognize. I think probably the most important message here that I'm hearing, and it's one that I truly believe in as well, is that we do not need to shine for the rest of the world.
Yes.
We need to shine for ourselves.
Absolutely.
We need to shine for ourselves.
Yeah. And, and what I love about when you when you expose yourself to all these teachings and all these things, there's universal truths underneath. So there's the universal truths. It's the foundation of what all of this is built on. We're just putting our own experiences and our own style on it. But yeah, just go get your, basket of possibility and just go gather all these things up and put them all in that, beautiful basket, and just have this amazing resource to help you shift your life.
That's right. I'm just tapping in to see if there's anything else that wants to come through immediately. And I guess I really, for a third time, and I think there's a reason why it's coming through 3 times, past, present, and future. Let me put my hand where you can see it. Past, present, and future. Forget about the screens, like we talked about shining for yourself. That was the first time. That's dealing with that past energy of who you were. Then I said it again, that shining for myself, not for the world, right? That's helping me in this present moment.
Yes.
And then I want to say this again, that we're doing this work to empower ourselves, to shine for ourselves. And that's that energy of that future self as well, because it creates this ripple effect. So what Marianne had said about, it's amazing what starts to happen around you when you start to shine the light on yourself for yourself. Because then all these incredible things start to automatically manifest and become abundant in your life. I am the prime example of that. I imagine Marianne as well is as well. So do you have anything else you want to say to that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that's such a great summary. And yeah, it just, it really does come back to self-love. But the thing is that, if you've had a hard time loving yourself, it's not always that easy to do. But you can take a moment and recognize where that light is inside of you, and give it, and breathe new life into it. Self-love comes from that, right? Like, it's another way to get to that. It's funny because my attention keeps being taken to, I have my candle burning, so I feel like I have to show that because it's the light, right? You have your, yeah. I love light. And okay, I got it. They just gave me stuff to share. So so there's ways that you can bring that light into your life. So like the candle, right? It's reminding you of the light. But again, you want to connect it to yourself. You don't want it to be external. I love those little mirrory things that you hang in your windows. The little, like, I have strings with little pieces of mirror. They're like the cheapest little thing. I think you can get them at the dollar store, but the light hits them and they reflect all these little sparkles. I always have some kind of crystal hanging in my car that reflects the light. The purse that I have right now has bling. It's like, I'm girly girl, bling bling, and so it's bling and it hits the light and sparkles go everywhere. And I just, there's so many ways that, notice how you're attracted to these bright light things and how you bring them into your life, because this is all a reflection of that light within you. It's one of the reasons why we admire it and we love it and we want it in our lives.
Wow.
I hope that made sense. I have no idea what I said.
And there's your channel message of the day. Beautiful, beautiful. So how can people get a hold of you, Marianne?
Yeah, so MarianneMarriott.com, Marriott just like the hotel, although it's Marriott, I think is the pronunciation in the States. It's MarianneMarriott.com. And I do have a free gift that I'm offering. And can I mention that? Because it's very specific what we're talking about. Yeah. So I have a meditation that I've done. Now, please be kind with me. I'm going to honor my journey right here, right now. This is the first recorded meditation that I have done. Oh, I like Sue, like the crow shiny things. Yes. So this is the first recording I did. So there's a couple little glitches in it, but it will not take away from the experience. I guarantee it. I had a few people do it and they've given me feedback, and I will eventually do a better, cleaner version of it. But the meditation is a journey with your inner light. And this was a channeled meditation that came to me. And what it does is it walks you through your light's journey from before conception, and then into conception, and then into the pregnancy phase, and then the moment you're born. And then it takes you through the various components of our life, or the experiences, not components, that's too heavy a word. So it takes us through the school years, and it takes us through relationships, and it takes us through careers. And what it does is your light, it's a journey with your light, and it speaks to you, and you can see where it was bright and where it was dim and how that changed. And then I give you a journal that you can fill out. And I've only had a few people, this is very new, I've only had a few people do this, but one gal, I was so amazed by her experience. I'm actually going to interview her, and it will be on my Facebook group, which, by the way, you'll get the link to when you get the meditation. And she actually saw herself, this was so amazing to me, she saw herself in the womb. Like, she actually experienced herself. And then she saw the moment of her birth, and she could see this light coming down, she said, from the right, shining on her. which was just fascinating. And she had a period in her life, I won't get on into all the details, where her light almost went out. It was so dim, but she knew it was never going to go out. She could tell that it was going to be there, but she went through this decade-long period where the light was almost completely extinguished. It was very cool. So that's my free gift for that I will offer, and anyone who wants to download that can do that. But
have to do this meditation.
yes, and I meant to send it to you before so you could experience it, but I was tweaking something, so you get to do it real time as well.
Exactly. So that'll be included in the comments ASAP, as well as on the YouTube channel and what have you. So I just want to touch on one quick little subject, although it's probably not quick. I know from experience and working with my own community and working on my own journey, that oftentimes emotions come up. So how would you like to touch base on the emotions aspect of this journey?
Yeah. So you're referring to kind of that like with the meditation journey? Is that what you're thinking? Yeah. Well, I actually, I love that you said that, because I'm immediately taken to the dual aspect again. Here we go. Because the other person that had an experience with this, it was very dark for her. Now, we haven't had our discovery call yet. We're going to do that. We're going to unpack this a little bit. So I had one who saw a lot of light illuminating. The other was darkness. And she's working through a lot of darkness in her life. And so absolutely, there are going to be things that are going to come up. So with the darkness would be fear. Can
I just say something? So when we talk about darkness, just so people understand, it's not necessarily good and evil. It's shadow work. It's kind of what I relate that to.
Yes, I'll relate that in. Thank you for that. Yes, because this has come up for her a lot in the meditations. And here's how I've explained it to her, just to give it a little bit of context, because when she goes into those moments of darkness, to me, that's where her the message for her is to get very introspective. And it's kind of like it blocks out, because when we do the guided meditations, a lot of times we're journeying and we're expanding, but it's kind of blocking out that journey and expansion for her, because this is really a time for her to really reflect on what it is that's coming up and allow it to be. So when you talk about emotions, that's, to me, again, it's celebrating, right? So it's kind of like honoring your journey, noticing from a new perspective. And I'll bring the Illuminate in, because you want to shine the light of consciousness on the emotion. Because if you ignore it and suppress it and don't pay attention to it and don't give it a voice, here we are back to that voice and speaking your truth, then it's always going to be there. But once you allow it to come up, and once you simply see what that emotion is, and again, it's usually fear, guilt, grief, some kind of a pain emotion. Once you see it and acknowledge it and shine the light of consciousness, it starts to lose its power. And then if you can have a conversation and ask it what it is it wants to tell you, why is it here in your life, how has it been protecting you, then it's going to start to diminish that. It's going to let more of the light in. It's all about letting more of the light in. Does that kind of answer what you were asking about with emotions? Yeah. Yeah, don't fear them is really what I would say. So, when they do show up, just notice them and just honor them too.
And Margaret, I want to speak to this. I feel my emotions control me. As we are shifting and becoming aware of ourselves, there's a couple things going on. One is we are still judging ourselves by what other people may be seeing. So if we're going through a period where there's a lot of tears, I know this year has been really crazy with emotions. So I've spent a lot of time in tears, laying in bed, crying for, I think it's about one reason, and it's possibly about another reason. Do I feel like those emotions are controlling me? In the moment, yes, I do feel like they might be controlling me, but I'm also recognizing too that they're here for a purpose. One, tears are very much for cleansing energy. The anger, the guilt, the shame, all of these things are just bringing up aspects that we're being asked to look at more closely. So very much like Marianne was speaking about, it's the shine thing. We look at it, we illuminate it, we become aware of it, and then we come out the other side of it. One of the things that I do is I'm very consciously aware of, okay, there's some anger. Hi, anger, how you doing? I recognize you, I see you. And you know what? I really appreciate that you're here showing me anger right now, because then I can feel the difference between anger and joy. And then I just consciously allow myself to let go of that anger. And it's really interesting how that works. Sidetracking the mind is huge.
Yeah, I'll jump in with I'll say the same thing in a slightly different way, because again, this is how we all kind of put our own twist on it, exactly the same way. So it's first of all, almost make friends with it, because this is a piece of you. In fact, you could even look at, we'll take anger for example. So anger is coming up, and we have this resistance to it, but it's a part of you. So I could look at that and go, that's angry Marianne. Oh, I'm going to have a conversation with angry Marianne, right? And so you put that kind of little bit of a human element, because it's that personal element, because it's you. And then we have a conversation. If you can't converse with the emotion, if you can just converse with the emotion, but if you need to give it a face, it can be a version of you that has gone through anger, and you can have that conversation together. And you talked about crying. I used to apologize for crying. I'm totally emotional person, heart on my sleeve. Work situations, good example of beating yourself up, right? Yeah, Sue says deep crying. And so I would cry at work, and then I would feel bad, like I'm a bad person, you're not supposed to cry at work. And at some point I embraced that. No, I love that I cry. Cry is a release. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's such a wonderful way to shift the emotions and allow them to leave, that I celebrate when people cry. I really do. I just think it's a beautiful part of our being.
Thank you for mentioning the work aspect too, because um, in my spiritual entrepreneurship, I'm in a group where the coaching is done on Zoom, group setting, et cetera, et cetera. And oftentimes there's this silence where nobody speaks. And of course, like I said, I jump in. And there are definitely times when, as soon as I jump in, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much emotion coming up in me, because this is really hitting home, because there's aspects that are being revealed. And what happened when that occurred for me was it actually empowered the others that were there. That they then found that they could be comfortable in their tears as well, because somebody had already broken that ice and done
Yeah.
it. They weren't the first ones. And it's not that I feel like I'm a leader, but I love to empower other people. So I step into empowering myself.
Yeah. Because
I
we give them
sign
permission.
back.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, because when we give ourselves permission, we give others permission. And they're holding back as much as we're holding back. And they're judging themselves as much as we're judging themselves. And so by us doing that just simply for ourselves, we're creating the space for others to do it for them. It's just such a beautiful um expansion, of possibility that's happening just by this teeny tiny thing that we do for ourselves. I saw Sue's comment, and I just wanted to mention, before conception, she had a vision of lots of lights floating on the river. It was
That
up
one.
there. Yeah, waiting to incarnate. That's so cool. I just wanted to grab that out for a second, just because I think that is, and these are the things, these are the moments where, you have these moments, and you see these things, or you sense these things. And if you just ignore them, you've missed a great opportunity, because when you really take that moment and you really, again, look at it and feel it and just invite it in, there's so much that you can learn from that. And those are those little nudges that we feel. Don't ignore them. They're so important. I also wrote down, as you were talking about emotions, one of the things that I did a little mini live on was the map of consciousness. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Vaguely.
Okay, so that might be a really great thing to do together sometime. But it's very cool, because I mean, I know you're going to know what I'm talking about, just probably under another name. It's the level of energy of emotions, right? So love and joy, are the highest vibration at the top, and then yeah, guilt
Power
and
versus force. Yeah.
yeah. And so the power of consciousness just expands it out, I think, in a slightly different way. But the point I wanted to make is, we were talking about anger, and anger is actually very good. Anger is a solar plexus chakra energy that starts to shift you into those higher frequencies. And we look at it bad. You're not supposed to be angry. We're told we're not supposed to be angry, but it's actually a very pivotal emotion that moves you away from grief and pain and out of depression and not making movement. It moves you into moving away from that, which is pretty cool when you kind of, I know it is. Yeah.
Wow, this conversation has been absolutely incredible. I feel so comfortable sitting here with you. I can't wait. I do believe that I'm on Marianne's page as well coming up. I can't remember if we set a date or not. It's immaterial in this moment, but
I think it's next Monday, but we'll confirm that and promote it. And then we're going to turn the tables and I get to interview you. Yay.
yeah. In the meantime, MarianneMarriott.com. I'm looking at that page. I realize that you don't have that possibility of creating, getting into the free gift from there. So that's just something I want to bring to your awareness, Marianne.
Oh yes, I don't have it on the main page. That's because I did actually. It was a little hidden because I was only offering it to select people. But yeah, /free gift, which you'll post the link, and I will get that on the main page because it should be on there.
It's literally, let me bear with me here, everybody.
Yeah,
I am going to
you're going to type that.
Write that down. Okay.
Yeah, it's
not
literally. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just going to put this up here and ask you: does it look like this then?
There it is. Yeah, I kept it hidden purposely because one, it's the first meditation I recorded and I didn't want to put it out to the masses until I gave it a little bit of a test. But the responses are coming back very favorably and I wanted to extend it to all of you. And I haven't decided what I'm doing with it yet, but I think I will get it on the homepage. I really wanted to get some feedback on experiences. So you do, by the way, just a little, hint, you get a opportunity to do a free discovery call with me. It's completely optional. There's no cost if you want to, and we will unpack what came up for you. That's partly for me because I just really want to hear your experiences and I want to know how this is resonating. But obviously it's greatly for you because sometimes talking about it with another person really gives you some valuable insight. And so I wanted to make that a part of it. That is not going to be offered to the masses because I can't do that. So that's why I'm keeping it kind of secret right now. But I'll have it on
limited time. So that free gift, this is kind of evergreen. So that free gift will alter and change as Marianne grows as well. And I want to say something that I heard you say that was really important to once again. So this is number 4. This is that foundational energy of this. You mentioned that you had wanted to offer this meditation and that you had offered it to a very select few because as you were revealing yourself, like first you had revealed it to yourself and then you started to reveal it slowly to others. And this is what the shine is all about. This is what the empowering is all about. You reveal yourself to you first, then you reveal yourself, yourself, that beautiful personal truth self, that one that you're beginning to understand and know and get to know more intimately. You reveal that where you're comfortable revealing it. You don't have to reveal it to the world. Right? I love that. I love how you brought that in again.
Thank you. So I love that I didn't even actually see that's what I was doing. So thank you for bringing that up because I'm like, why didn't I put it on the page? And then the clarity started to come. Oh, okay, because I wasn't ready to do that because this was very personal and I wanted to keep it very personal. But thank you. That was an aha moment for me. I see that I saw someone, Maria had said aha moment. I love aha moments. Okay. I love them. Those moments when they just, you just get that moment of clarity. Oh, thank you, Maria. This was fun.
It was.
I could talk with you for another hour. I feel like we're just
to flow. Yeah, we seem to flow really nicely. Yeah. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. If you're catching the replay, #replay. I put up information throughout. The YouTube channel will have all the information on it after the fact, kind of with the breakdown of what the shine is, as well as the link for the free gift and her website. So feel free to touch base with Marianne. And there's lots of room to discover who resonates with you and find your own way. Love it. Thank you. So step into your light, step into your life. Love you guys. Bye.